Shalom, shalom. Welcome to my channel. Once again, I am here, actually from a different setting today, bringing you some news, talking a little bit about end times events that people don't know about, and how it all ties to the ultimate war of Armageddon. Yesterday or last night, uh, I was speaking to events that are taking place specifically just all across the world really, but specifically uh, as per targeted individuals, what their experience is, um, pertaining satanic ritual abuse and directed energy attacks which are taking place, not just in the United States but all across the world. um, Lo and behold, today I set out to the streets and I find myself in the middle of a giant battle. When I woke up this morning, things were much, much better. Um, I was actually feeling a little bit of peace. I thought that things were going to be okay. And then all of a sudden, I start having this, which has become very habitual. Um, I start having this attack, and I'm having it right now, by the way. And it's an attack that pertains a person I used to know, or people that I used to know, who are in IT and became targets. And because they became targets, they oh, I'm trying to fix my hair. I'm sorry, it's kind of not really working out here. I'm having mirror effect problems, as you can see. Um, yeah. Um, so anyway, um, so these persons who were not anybody, just people, suddenly they became targets. And I have all of these questions, about how it all happened, that I became a target, if I became a target because of someone else, if I became a target because of something I did. um, what is suggested really is that I became a target because a person, uh, because an ex-boyfriend had some ill will towards me, because of something that I did, that involved a picture that I took online, that I took from an online source. And I tried to trick him into being someone else. I tried to trick him, saying I was somebody else, so that I could find out some information. I wasn't hurting him. I just wanted to find out if he was lying to me. Um, which usually just, if you ask a person, usually that works. But sometimes a person is not very honest and they just don't tell you the truth. And I was a very distrusting person, way back in the day. And I used to do things like these. I would like to find out whether or not my boyfriends were cheating on me. And it's something very common that women do. We go snooping around. Men do it too. We go snooping around. We go checking on their, voicemails, checking on their texts. We get into their Facebook accounts. That's how I found out, actually, that I couldn't marry my ex fiance. Um, I went into his Facebook account and found some very compromising photos with a very young lady, she belonged to the Disney College program. He was working at Disney at that. We were both working at Disney at that time, and it was um, it was devastating because we were going to get married. We were like 2 months away from the wedding. We had like everything set together. We'd already, we had everything ready. And all of a sudden, this girl just comes along, and she's not really anything special. She's just some girl from college. And if you'd have said, he fell in love with a doctor, or a really beautiful woman, somebody that I'd say like, well, I got my shortcomings. It's still wrong, but I can see the attraction and why he'd go that way. But this girl was just somebody, you know. She's just plain and somebody else. Um, so so um so today I'm having this really big tribulation, pertaining, particularly, this one ex friend who, I can't really go into much of it, but but he used to be a friend from church, and then he stopped being a friend from church because I started seeing some things in the spiritual realm that bothered me. Um, like like I saw him in a vision, as this flying head, and it had to do with something electronic that he was doing that was illegal, and it was persecuting me negatively. He was not doing it to help me. The persecution was a negative persecution. So I decided to not be his friend anymore. And uh, well, it didn't seem like he knew what he was doing at some point. Like he thought that he might have been doing something good, even even angelic. But then again, that's what's happening to a lot of people today, and that's why I want to open, I guess, this conversation again, and just talk a little bit about what's happening in the world, um, and in contrast with what I'm going through, which I believe other people are going through, and just not talking about it, or facing it a different way. Um, so this whole thing happening in Israel, this war in Israel, began back in October. Uh, it was Sukkot. We've been here for a while, um, and now President Trump uh, did this all. Um, he's completely insane. Um, did this whole bombing just like all of a sudden he just decided to bomb these nuclear Iran sites, which Israel and the UN had been avoiding doing for a really long time. But Trump, he said, "I'm going to boldly go where everybody doesn't want to go, and we need to show these people that we mean serious business because I think that we are like babying them." And he just went ahead and bombed them. You know, he didn't really care about the nuclear consequences. I guess a lot of people were very worried that this might set off, a bigger issue, especially because of uh, nuclear consequences, and also nuclear consequences, war consequences with other countries. It was, what we've been avoiding for a really long time is a nuclear war, you know? And the only way to really avoid a nuclear war is to get rid of all your nukes, or of all your nuclear warheads, um, and all your nuclear weaponry. Um, but, you know, the world doesn't understand that anymore, and we're still in that space race where we want to just, be as cool as possible, uh, in terms of who has the bigger military toys. And we know that Kim Jong Un loves a big demonstration, so now Trump, U.S. intelligence is saying that this strike on Iran is only going to set them back a few months. It wasn't such a really big deal. But Trump, on the other hand, is saying that these strikes are compared to the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki because he's Trump, and he just talks that way. Um, and we're at a time where if a president from a different country, an ally country of Israel, can decide and make decisions upon Israel, the way that, I don't know, the way that maybe in Babylon, uh, King Cyrus could have said, um, you can have Jerusalem, but I'm gonna build Cyrus Jerusalem, like Cyrus Gaza, on that, and I'm gonna be able to like rule over it. It's just really crazy how our how the a country's allies can just come in and do something like that, especially in Israel. Especially in Israel, if you do it in Brazil, if you do it in Costa Rica, if you do it in Dominican Republic, you know, it's not going to be such a big deal as Israel, because Israel is the place. We are talking about the place of the chosen people. We are talking about where everybody wants to go back to, um, because you know, Israel belongs to Israel, and if we have, this entire battle that's going to take place, called Armageddon, which is going to uh, have to do with which has to do with taking back Canaan, which is Israel, from its enemies, which in this particular event is everyone in Islamic countries, and their allies. So so what are we doing? We are taking a look at all these things that are happening physically, and wondering, is it Armageddon? Are we already here? And I have news for you. You don't have to wait anymore for Armageddon. We've been here for a really long time. It just started in the spiritual realm first, with, some things happen in the physical realm, but really, everything takes place in heaven first, and then it takes place. Then some things take place on earth, and then some things take place on earth, and then it takes place in heaven. And we're going on that. That's the way that it goes, back and forth, back and forth. And well, as I left my house today, I found out that I was being spiritually persecuted by this ex friend of mine, and entities like it. Um, he has unfortunately become a demon. Um, he's been following things that, like, when I see the things that they're doing, it looks like voodoo, for example. And I see some guy, right, and I see like different people as one person, and it's like they're hiding somehow. Um, it's satanic work. I just can't. Voodoo is satanic. I don't care what you call witchcraft. You can call it brujeria, santeria. You can call it Wicca. You can call it cooking. You can call it, you can call it different things, as they're called. But there's only one thing that witchcraft really is. Even if it's, dark arts or light magic, there is no such a thing as light magic. I'm sorry. Everybody who likes Disney World is sorely mistaken about the way that the world really works. But when Disney created the Magic Kingdom, he wasn't that into Christianity, so he didn't make the distinction for families. He just said there's good and there's evil, and inside Disney we fight it all day long. And a lot of people live their lives that way. Um, so what we are really looking to do now is to, especially during this time, is to make that distinction, to define good and evil again, in terms, in real terms, in God's terms. And that's what's going to really get our people out of confusion. It's what's really going to save our children from doing the wrong thing. It's what's really going to save us in this war. Um, to be able to win a war like this one, if you don't believe first in the God of Israel and second in Jesus, you're not going to win it. And that's one of the things that I have questions for Netanyahu on, because he talks about Jesus, but not on a daily basis. He doesn't worship Jesus, I think, and I don't really know what his thoughts are on the whole. I know that he knows about him. I know that he celebrates Christmas for the whole country, right? Like, he stands in front of a TV and says, "Happy Christmas" or "Merry Christmas" to everyone in Bethlehem or whatever. So he is not an anti-political politician. So he knows how to be a politician. If But he's probably more orthodox than that. He may, worship on Shabbat, and he has, he celebrates on Yom Kippur. He fasts on Yom Kippur. I'm sorry. And he builds a tent in Sukkot, or maybe he goes to a really fancy hotel like King David Hotel. I'm not really sure. This tradition, which is really a commandment for Israelites, it's changed a lot along the years. It's really weird here in Florida. I've researched it, and people, instead of going to tents, they go to hotel rooms. They stay in hotels, and then that's their tent. But that's not doing what the commandment says sends you to do. You have to build an actual tent, live in the tent for 7 days, and eat in the tent every night. That's how it is, and it's very particular looking tent, you know. So in that sense, I wonder how much Netanyahu understands what his role really is. The other day, I was looking at this video which said that Netanyahu had some visions and dreams, uh, and that supposedly he was seeing things that pertain to the end times, and how he was uh, involved in that. But that was only one video. I can't really find anything else that says that. Let's see. There's there might be people. He's Archangel Michael in the end times. But we need to really understand the things that we're seeing when we're saying them, because uh, there was a rabbi who told Netanyahu that he was going to see the Messiah, that he was going to be a world leader during the time of the Messiah. Now, you and I as Christians know that the Messiah was already here, and he was already here, and he's returning. Orthodox Jews don't know that, but God may be giving some Jews a sign that things are going to start changing and that they're going to see him soon. I don't know why that rabbi would not say, I had a revelation and you're going to see the Messiah when he's here. And guess what? He was actually Jesus. That's what I think an angel would actually say to a rabbi, but you don't know the things that God might do. Um, then again, you have to be really careful, because there's this guy Yanukarav Shlomo trying to convince everyone that he's the Messiah, and doing supposed miracles in front of people, and saying that he was born from a technical virgin. So I don't understand, because he could quote scripture by the age of 4. Satan could quote scripture by the age of 1. So I don't believe him. Uh, that's that's more neither here nor there, is except for the fact that, well, Jesus did say in the end times there will be a lot of people who will say they come in my name, but they will not be in my name. And it's something to consider when you hear prophecy during this time, um, because there are people that he has appointed for these purposes. And the prophecy of the Cyrus for Trump, for example, I first I heard about it. I said, well, he obviously won the elections the first time, so it appears to have been true. I'm undergoing a major satanic attack, guys. Major. You don't know how much it hurts me to try to talk to you. You don't know how much it hurts me to try to help you out. Um, and the reason that I do this is because I have to tell you my testimony, because these are things that are going to hurt the entire country. And I need you to understand there are anarchists trying to take over the United States right now. And these people have very strong magic. They, you know, they, they have very strong power. And maybe, they're not as anarchic as they seem to be. Maybe they're connected to something else. And I've seen a lot of Islamic unrest coming to our country, and I've seen the spirit of Muhammad. I have battled him directly, and even though he's not as powerful as one would think he is, just God defeated him very fast that day. Let me just put it that way. Um, look at me. Why would you think that I would defeat the spirit of Muhammad? I'm a, I'm a nobody. I'm a very tiny person, like literally. I'm 5 seconds skinny, and I'm being assailed by demons every day. So In all senses of the word, I'm a weakling. But some people might have thought that of David too, and he defeated a giant. A giant who came with a lot of demons. By the way, giants were made by demons. I don't know if you know the story about how giants were came to the world, but they're related uh, to angels who had sex with women. So every time you see somebody really tall, like 7 feet tall, 8 feet tall, something like that, just think back on the book of Enoch, think back on the book of Genesis and on Noah, and realize that what you're looking at is the result of very grave sin that took place on earth uh, when God didn't want it to. And yeah, how do I say this? The giants in that time were destroyed, but if there are still giants in the world, then that probably means some of that stuff happened even after Noah. Maybe it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Um, I mean, who knows? Even talking about Netanyahu doesn't make me sit very well. Uh, what I'm undergoing really is very political uh, and very politically related. When President Joe Biden took the seat and he was being inaugurated, I was watching online and I felt very, very bad things. Not about him taking the place that he was going to take, but physically, things were being done to me. And I felt like somebody was grabbing my hand, and I felt like I was at the White House. And I was fighting all of that while I was watching. Strangely enough, on the in the moment that he was inaugurated, as soon as he put his hand over the Bible, and as soon as he sat down, I remember he took a slump. He didn't sit down. I noticed that he took a slump, and he had this face on him, like I just made the gravest mistake of my life. That's what it seemed like. And you know, later on, I saw some things about Biden that I didn't like, but I also saw some things about Trump regarding Biden that were very bad. And Biden was innocent of the things that were being done to him. This is one reason why I'm feeling ill, and why I can't tell you for sure. Is the government, involved in my perpetration? Is the government not involved in my perpetration? Not just mine. I'm talking about just targets all around the world, and how governments might have something to do with what's happening to targeted individuals. And I don't like to call myself a targeted individual. I like to call myself a victim of terrorism, because that's what I am. Um, Sometimes I just don't know. You know, there are a lot of people with a lot of power in this country, and just because somebody's a politician, it doesn't mean that the government isn't. Just because somebody who is assailing you, or who's following you, or who's surveilling you, or who is hurting you is a politician or has political power, it doesn't mean that the entire government or entire offices in the government might be involved in what's happening to you. So just be really careful about what you say, who you say it to. Um, just in general, if you know something, say something. uh, I just just be careful. um, all right, so in when i uh, when I began this video, I began it because I started feeling all those really bad feelings, and I know that I'm being persecuted by someone who's behind me with some magic voodoo stuff. They're going around somewhere nearby. It has to be nearby because it feels like they're around. Sometimes it feels like they're very far away, but somehow it feels like they might be either here where I am, um, or in the vicinity of where I am, somewhere nearby. And like I said yesterday, I know I'm being followed by drones, and who knew that people can actually cast spells through drones? Who knew? That can be done, but you can also be hurt through microwave stuff. You know, um, you can monitor anything and anyone, and be online and watch a person on a screen. And if you're a witch and you have certain power, and some witches are very powerful. I mean, let me tell you something. People say, oh, don't ascribe power to Satan. It's like, I cannot tell you a lie. Satan has power. Satan it used to be a child of God. He was made by God, and God allowed him to keep some of his power so that he could judge him later for the wrong things that he was going to do, and so that he could judge the world through it. Um, it's also a punishment to us, because it's like, oh, so I was your father, and you were supposed to listen to me, but you didn't listen to me. So now Satan is your father. And the Bible just says just as much. It says Satan, we are children of Satan when we are in sin. So it's really our own punishment that he still has any power. But in the end, it's also his own punishment, however he uses it. So it's a sort of many edges. But it all has a very divine and perfect purpose, which is the awesome part. And what we need to learn to recognize in in our in our work as children of God. But I'm feeling very ill right now, very very ill. Um, and this morning, one of the things that happened was I started hearing that friend of mine while I was trying to have breakfast, and when that happens, I don't have a whole lot of fun. um, and so I started fighting it. And one of the things that I've been fighting lately is a Catholic Church. The spirit that holds the idols of the Catholic Church, for example, that's a very big monster. One day I saw a vision of Goliath as the idols of the Catholic Church, and that's just for us to know, several things. One, it's a very big monster. Uh, Two, it's very powerful. Uh, Three, it can be defeated. Four, you need the faith of David to defeat it. Not necessarily a sword, but but a lot of faith. So every day, all of you out there, Protestants, Messianic folk, uh, and ex-Catholics, I just want you to pray really hard that it will go away, that this Goliath will go away, that it will step away from the Catholic Church, and let the Catholic Church be, what the Messianic Church is. In fact, that's what we're all supposed to be. And it's not because I'm Judeo Messianic now, it's because I understand now that even the Protestant Church failed in keeping up, not with tradition, but with commandment. Some things are tradition, some things are commandment. Some Protestants, or the Protestant Church, likes to say things like, "Oh well, we're living in diaspora, so we're living in Israel. We're not living in Israel, and because we're not living in Israel, um, we don't need to do the things that they do, even if it's commandment." It's like, that is not what the law of God says. There are things that you have to do, no matter what. There is tradition, but there is commandment. You know, and just any woman covering her head, that's something that's tradition. Uh, the commandment really is for women who are married. When they pray and prophesy, they have to cover their heads. But women don't need to have their heads covered all the time. That's not a commandment. It's a tradition. Okay. So uh, anybody who sees, people like Adventists and like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and um, the Amish, and they have like these very strict orders, very strict traditions to keep their heads covered, not dye their hair, not wear any makeup. Nowhere in the Bible does this command a woman to not wear makeup, to not do your hair, to to cover your head all the time. Uh, that nowhere in the commandments does it say that. Wearing long skirts, That's something different. Um, it's more, that is less traditional and more commandment, because woman is supposed, she is expected to, and it's not about the skirt. Let me explain. It's about the way that you dress and what you are exuding. You have to try to be modest, as you have to be as modest as possible, because your body needs to be covered up so that it doesn't incite lust in other people, um, especially men. So we're thinking obviously about men, because God is not thinking about lust for women, but just in general, and maybe he is, because he knows the world is disgusting. In general, women are not supposed to, they're not supposed to, um, so I want to show you something, like talking about attire, and what you're going to see is my own body, and I want to show you for a reason, right? So I'm not supposed to be doing this per propriety laws in the Bible, but I have to have my shirt lifted up because of the satanic ritual abuse. I don't particularly feel comfortable this way anymore, because of the heat. I'm wearing shirts that are sleeveless, but I was trying to be a little more modest in terms of how I dressed. I don't wear low cut anymore. I wear long skirts, or I wear women's jeans, which is totally okay with God. What you're not supposed to do as a woman is try to dress like a boy. And jeans may have started as a fashion that was feminist, may have, I'm not really, maybe, but nowadays you don't have like boys pants and you wear them. Those women, they wore boys pants, and they wanted to look like boys. Now when you see a woman wearing some jeans, she doesn't usually want to look like a boy. She wants to look like a girl wearing jeans, wearing pants. And it's not about looking like a boy. It's not about feminism. It's not about trying to take the place of a man. It's not about underpowering him and empowering yourself. It's just, jeans look cute and I want to wear them, you know? And now we have like jeans for women and jeans for men. So that makes a complete difference. Modernity took over and fixed the problem. So yay for that. Now it's okay for anybody to wear jeans, even Orthodox Jews. Um, so I implore you, you know, let loose a little. If you want to wear jeans, God is okay with it. If you don't, and you want to keep the tradition, that's fine. But don't condemn any woman who might wear jeans, especially if they're women jeans and she's not trying to look like a boy, because that's a commandment. Um, so like I said, I have to wear my shirt up. Uh, Sometimes because of that ritualistic abuse. One of the things that, and just saying it just starts bringing some sort of issue to the table. um, and I'm hearing a voice telling me that they're close, and the person that I'm seeing, unfortunately, is a woman who lives in Texas. And I've been seeing visions of her uh, having something to do, or being part of what's happening to me somehow. A lot of counselors are involved in my perpetration. A lot of people in psychology, and I think that I don't think I know that is because of the psychological torture I'm going through, which is not MK Ultra, but it seems to be linked to something like that, or linked to something, or it looks like something like it, like a program like it, and you know, um, one of the reasons why you hear a lot of targeted individuals blame the government for our targeting is because they think, oh, this is all of these methods are like MK Ultra methods. If you research it, you'll find out that that's the truth. Yeah, but they're not. Yeah, the U.S. is not the only country who came up with this kind of stuff. You know, they might have been one country who had these methods of torture, but there may have been others. I mean, Hitler was especially adept at torturing people, and he was German. So we have to be really careful about who we say is doing something, especially so we don't get in trouble, with the wrong people, or we don't get watched, or we don't get put in a loony bin because we're saying the wrong thing. So the belly button uh, is an area, the Lord rebuke you, Satan, that is used for. Well, what is the belly button for? I want you to answer that question. Answer that question to yourself. And I'm gonna move a little here because it bothers the devil. Um, uh, I'm sorry. I'm really getting very hurt here, and I'm trying to deal with it. And I think that some of it is actually because I can feel it like overhead. I feel like this wave over my head that feels like it's and what's it called? It feels like radiation, really. It feels like a radiation attack. Um, uh, yeah, it's bad because I'm in a very special place right now. There are a lot of people. Um, Anywhere that I go, they're you know trying to do the same thing. Um, uh, these ex friends of mine, they appear to be involved in pushing the button so that this kind of tribulation happens to others, and they're hurting more people than they should be hurting. Uh, some of them think that they're, like I said, some of them think that they're doing it for righteous reasons. And that's completely untrue. Um,